Hello and welcome to Michael's Minty Music for today. Today we review Queen's 1984 album, The Works. It recently hit its 40th anniversary and it's really good, so great time to review it right now. This is the track listing, and these are the tracks I added to my playlist. 7 out of 9, so all of them but 2. This album's really great. Most of the songs here are really good, and there are a few really outstanding ones. The opening track, Radio Gaga, is a great sort of pop-style opener, leading into a pretty mellow side one, slowly gaining speed a little bit. Tear It Up's the only really speedy track. Side 2 is much more upbeat and quick. The opener to that one is a pretty quick techno rock track. Leads into a major pop element of I Want to Break Free, Passing the Open Window, and Hammer to Fall, which are all kind of pop-ish songs. Closing it off is a slow, sort of traditional Queen ballad with which contrasts the rest of side 2 quite well in my opinion. And then overall, the album just flows really well. Even on the transition from side 1 to 2, Back to Humans kind of picks up from where Man on the Prowl left off. The album starts low with Radio Gaga and slowly rises to the high point of Hammer to Fall, and then closes it off with Is This the World We Created? A clear example of sort of quality, intentional album construction. Nothing really amazing, but still really good. The genre here is sort of mid-80s pop rock, definitely more on the pop side for Queen, but they're still recognizable as a rock band. This doesn't really sound like a pop album, it sounds like a rock album that has pop sounds on it. So there's a lot more techno elements here than some of their other albums, so they make the rock elements seem more poppy across the album. There was only one track released before the album, the opener, Radio Gaga, which was one of the big hits at the time, along with I Want to Break Free and Hammer to Fall. My favorite track here, it was pretty difficult to decide, but I've gone with I Want to Break Free. It's a perfect mix of pop and rock sounds. It's got slow and fast, and just a great song overall. It was close between this and Hammer to Fall, and Keep Passing the Open Windows is probably the best sort of non-hit track. Best one you haven't heard before. I rank this album 6th out of Queen's 15 albums, so just out of the top third, kind of the top of the second third, I guess. This album is in an interesting spot. It doesn't have quite as much going on as some of the albums above it, stuff like Jazz, Sheer Heart Attack, and the flow is good but not incredible like most of the albums above it, such as Made in Heaven, News of the World. All of those ones are really great flow-wise and song-wise. The Works, though, is clearly a step above albums like Queen 2 and A Kind of Magic in terms of overall quality, but it's a little bit too by the book to beat out Queen's really great albums, in my opinion. A Night at the Opera is kind of a similar quality, I would say, but I prefer the songs on The Works a little bit better and the sound, so it goes up. But those two are kind of neck and neck for that spot. Now, this album is my favorite from 1984, beating out only INXS's The Swing, which is a good album, but it doesn't have the experience or just the level of quality that Queen has. This album would be a great album, one of the best albums from any other artist, but for Queen, they have 5 other albums that are just better. So, The Works is definitely the better album here. Next up is the Velvet Underground's final album, 1973's Squeeze. It was made after most of their members left and kind of in a rush, so it isn't really considered the same as most of their other albums, but it's got their name on it, and it's part of their catalog. So I'm going to listen to it and review it, and we'll see if it is really that weird or, if it's just normal. So stay tuned for that, and as always, stay minty.